so one example that I will share that really helps me understand the non-dual nature of all things is starting with the proposition that God alone is real. There is nothing else outside of God, because God, praise God from whom all blessings flow. Everything, God is the fountainhead. And also, that being said, there's nothing outside of our experience, because I have never been outside of my experience. Is there an objective reality outside of my experience of reality? I don't know. I've never experienced it. And can there be? We read about different people's experience. We read about history and all these different accounts, but we read them through our experience. And so the way that my teacher really broke this down to me was that the idea of a dream. When you have a dream, I think we identify ourselves as ourself in the dream. We're the main character of our dream. But when you have a dream, your mind is creating everything. You are the main character of your dream. You're you, the persona that you go through this life with. But you're also the monster that's chasing you. And you're also the audience of people that are laughing at you because you're in your underwear, presenting an essay or something at school. And you're also the stage that you're standing upon. And you're also the sky. And you're also the history of the characters in your dream. You are all of those things, but yet you perceive yourself to be just one of those things in the dream. And I'm convinced that, reality and consciousness exists on a fractal. You can see the unfurling of a fern is mirrored in the unspiraling of the cosmos. The heavens declare the glory of God. There's this like DNA that the macrocosm and the microcosm are infinite mirrors of one another. And so similarly, I think that this reality that we perceive to be real is also a dream. And you and I are playing roles within this dream as people on this show, podcast, talking. But outside of the dream, there is just one mind creating all these different characters. And so I think for me, bridging those two things is like realizing that fundamentalist religion is always, this is true, this is not true. But I think the truth in spirituality and mysticism is this is true and this is true. And it's taking those paradoxes and those opposites and it's joining them together. And so on one level, I am this character in the dream, and I play that character because that's what I'm used to. But I know that outside of the dream, I'm also something else. And so when I love that higher part of myself, I'm creating this feedback loop that fills my cup here in the dream, but also like says what I am at my highest expression is something unimaginable, unfathomable, and so immense. And I'm just so grateful that I am also that too. And I'm so grateful that I can experience this life and all the beauty of the physical world, but also have that awareness, that abiding awareness that there's something so much beautiful that I have always been, and that when this life is over, I will return back to. And that, I don't know, man, that's just love.
Dude, that is so good. Case in point. Like, yes. Yes. Like, that is Thank so you. Good, man. Because, like, and hopefully this could be a good segue into this of, like, you mentioned that you are, and I'm curious what tradition your teacher is in and what the path that you're following now, but you were saying that earlier offline, like, you're cool with Jesus. Like, and you said a line, you said, I understand him better now. And I think what you just said, like that awareness that I've come to also, that sort of mystic non-dual truth that I think that Jesus embodied and said really well in a lot of statements, but has just like it just the ancient Near East mind, the Hebrew mind, the Roman mind, the Greco understanding of the gods and us, and it just was like just too much of a apple wheel of death for them, that they're like, I don't know, I don't do we deify him? Is he a heretic? Like, and from an Eastern perspective, you're just like, oh, like clearly he's a fully realized being, like he knows who he is, like, and embodies the power that comes along with that, and he's a master. Yes, he's an avatar, and avatars, this is what avatars do. They fully embody, but yet they're limited to their human form. Like, this is the full expression of what incarnation has the possibility to be. That's what an avatar does. So anyways, now I'm on my rabbit trail here, getting excited, but with you, like, I'm curious, like, how that was. Like, is that similar for you in terms of how you see Jesus now? And you mentioned, like, the church doesn't really worship Jesus, you know? Like, I don't know if you can speak a little bit to that you're rapping about offline.
So I think that there really are only two religions on earth. And both, not even religions, let's say spiritual paths. And both spiritual paths are present in every religion on earth. But there's two distinct ones. There's a saying that goes that religion begins in mysticism and ends in politics. And I think that is the drive. There are fundamentalism, dogmatism, dualism always leads toward political ends on earth. And it becomes more about a religion of power, of control, of coercion, and fear. And the mystic path within all religions goes back to the source, goes back to the center, goes back to the initial beam of light in which all the colors of light, when they hit the spectrum of our understanding, refract from and reflect and come back to. So to be upfront, the spiritual path I follow is the path of yoga within the tradition of Sanatana Dharma, which is commonly known as Hinduism. I follow the tradition, the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, which is just non-dual philosophy. And then I follow the Patanjali's 8-limb yogic path. And the goal of yoga is, I mean, not doing a bunch of poses and you know, whatever. I know that's kind of how it's, you know, yeah, it's union, exactly. And so the mission of yoga is to unite everything that you think doesn't fit and make it fit. And that includes reactions that you have about things in your past. And so how do you reconcile? Jesus says, if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto myself. And it's through mentally elevating these different things and bringing them, uniting them together, that you're able to, I think, draw people toward the truth in a way. And so I see Jesus as someone who took the mystical path within his religion. And I think I know the Bible. I used to be in Bible bowls, so I memorized the Bible, and we would do quiz bowls and stuff. I have a lot of the Bible memorized, or a lot of verses memorized. I still love Keith Green and a lot of Christian music. And for a while I thought, I'm doing this, so I can't. But what's beautiful about the yogic path is that there are no wrong paths. Like everything, God is bigger than any petty decision to believe in this energy source or that deity or whatever. It all melts back in the same thing. Yeah. And so that's been so freeing for me, because it's allowed me to fall in love with Jesus again, for who he was, who he said he was, not for what other people have been saying about him, from the books that have selectively been kept in the Bible. You know, I've also been able to read the Gospel of Thomas and see how much of a non-dual thinker he actually was. And
yes, dude.
I mean, not to sound like a fundamentalist myself, but I think there's one experience, and there's one thing. It doesn't matter what path you take. What matters is that you get there. And I think that's the goal of every human incarnation, ultimately, is to reach samadhi, which is merging back with God. And then we have the choice of whether we want to stay there or whether we want to come back and serve other people and love other people, all the while remembering God.
Dude, that's it. That's it.